Russia.
Yes. Luke Akehurst, a subject of fascination to our show since almost day one. A trooper and ground warrior of the right of the party, continuing to fight the fight that no one else will. Maybe one day Luke's efforts will be recognised, but probably not.
There's a load of incredible articles here where he's just so complacent about the political death of the hard left. Hard left. He's just like, the campaign group are a completely marginal force. They will never see any power again.
There was a post I saw by him that he did on the Progress website, and it was done back in 2013. It was the same old shit, like, Labour gave Thatcher power, but it was the hard left of the party. It was like literally even back then still peddling that line, because that was the alternative history that was peddled to us by Akehurst and many of his kind.
There are some great Akehurstian titles to these blog posts, such as "Why We Need the Eurofighter Typhoon."
Again, continuing the trend of his love of nuclear weapons.
There's a picture of him at Karl Marx's grave, holding up what I presume is his young baby. He's like, "Here you go, son." He just instills like a burning hatred of the hard left in his children from the womb. Like, he just sits by his wife's pregnant belly, just like reading the diaries of Senator Joseph McCarthy or something.
Just holding his kid up to the statue of Marx, like, "This is the source of all evil that threatens our great party." These Marxists, they never had any place in it whatsoever from the beginning. Definitely not. On his website for NEC, of course, Luke Akehurst is running for the NEC. Has he now taken down the part of the website that tells you who sponsored him?
Dunno, have a look.
Because I can't see it, so I'm guessing he probably has.
Yeah, but people just filled it up with, like, Ho Chi Minh and the Chuckle Brothers. I'd say R.I.P. Barry, but apparently he was, like, a Britain First supporter.
He died today, yeah. He shared a Britain First post. Ideologically incorrect Chuckle Brothers.
Where is this?
So basically, on his website for the NEC, you had names like Mike Gapes. Someone put Mike Gapes on there. I don't know who that was.
That was me, I think.
Was it Mike?
Or it might have been the real Mike Gapes, but I'm pretty sure I put Mike Gapes on there at some point.
I'm with you here, comrade.
I'm absolutely certain he has been endorsed by the real Mike Gapes. He's been endorsed by Owen Smith, so it makes sense that the rest of the fake soft left Tribune melts would do so.
Well, let me tell you about what Luke aligns himself as. In his own words, "I'm a social democrat. I stand in the Labour tradition that is as proud of Attlee's creation of NATO as the NHS.
I bet you, yeah, of course.
The tradition of Ernest Bevin, Herbert Morrison, Hugh Gaitskell, Dennis Healey, and Roy Hattersley."
Ernest Bevin was that. The notorious virulent anti-Semite Ernest Bevin.
Obviously.
Interesting, Luke. Very, very interesting. Pretty
interesting.
Interesting.
Greater equality and greater freedom aren't in conflict. You can't enjoy a more equal society unless you are free. And you can't be truly free if you're in poverty. You can manage and regulate markets. You can have a mixed economy with a strong redistributive state and a dynamic private sector.
This is such Blairite dogma. You know what we
wait
should
till
call...
you hear the last sentence.
Wait. You know what we should call pure Blairite ideology? Dogma 97. Carry on.
No mention of the word socialism in any output of Dogma 97. We must oppose tyranny and dictatorships and terrorism just as strongly when they come from the extreme left as the extreme right.
God, it's like reading woke George Eaton's signature of the Euston Manifesto.
No, comrade George now.
I gotta say, Tom, that's unfair. Blair did talk a lot about socialism with a hyphen in the middle.
It's just about community, isn't it? It's all about community, building community, a community of sorts.
Yeah, it's just actually about being in a society with other people and
coexisting, tolerating one another.
Have you finished this piece, or is there more?
Fucking hell. Well, do you want to hear about why he's proud of what Labour achieved in government, or his bold approach to winning the next election, or his opposing of Momentum's factionalism, or his rebuilding the party, or his truly nationwide party, or focused on campaigning, or his commitment to transparency, or putting members first?
Is this from his Luke for NEC site?
This is, yeah.
I don't want to hear any of that.
I just wanted to give you a bit, but we'll move on to the blogs. I just wanted to give a bit of an introduction to the man himself.
Okay, yeah, this is NEC candidate Luke Akehurst.
Can I just point out one of the finest policies he put on his Luke for NEC site? One of his aims is no to bullying. A culture has developed since 2015 of online abuse. Bullying of people who dissent within the party. Threats of deselection against MPs and councillors who think for themselves.
We'll get to that.
Use of absurd insults like neoliberal.
Neoliberal, a made-up word, but there is not a sizable academic literature by people who support neoliberalism on.
Insults like neoliberal, imperialist, and red Tory. To describe fellow party members. This toxic culture of hate is uncomradely and has to end.
There is nothing imperialist about people who are as proud of NATO as they are of the NHS. Nothing whatsoever. Could we get to Luke's blog post from 2006? It's on Wario Tifo's pictures tab. It's called I Support. I support ... And Luke starts, various threads below are now soaking up hostile comments like a sponge. Also, it's bullshit that a culture of bullying and abuse started in 2015, because it was 2014 when someone threatened to drown Luke Akehurst in a var of piss. He starts, various threads below are now soaking up hostile comments like a sponge. I thought I'd save all the posters some time by just listing the things I really support and they really hate, so they can just reply with one stream of venom. Here goes. I support the Labour Party. Well, Tony Blair. The Hackney Labour Party. Hackney Council. Jules Pipe. What? It's a Jules Pipe. What kind of pipe is that? The UK.
Crack pipe.
The USA. NATO. The State of Israel. Australia. It's just like all the worst countries. The Australian Labour Party. Like, fucking hell. The New South Wales Right faction, which I guess is a right-wing faction of the Australian Labour Party in New South Wales.
Probably.
Labour First, of which he is now the chair. Labour Campaign for Electoral Reform. Melt. The EU. Melt.
Of course.
Melt.
Of course.
Sweden and its Social Democratic Party. Oh my god, is Luke one of the guys who is like, people say socialism is bad, but look at Sweden. I guess he's like, yeah, that's social democracy, actually. Nuclear deterrence, of course. The liberation of Iraq. This is 2006, by the way. So he's still cheering on the Iraq war. Our police, security services, and armed forces.
The next one's got
Nuclear power. An elected House of Lords, which I think is the first thing on this list since the Labour Party, that I also support.
Oh my god.
Directly elected mayors. A controlled parking zone for Clifton Road. One of the major issues.
Just one particular road near him.
Oh my god.
He drives down every day like, fucking this needs a fucking controlled parking zone.
Imagine Luke just fuming, like, fucking potholes, I can't get a fucking parking space. Asbos.
Oh god.
Almos, which I don't even know what they are.
What? Okay, what? I don't even. I know what Asbos are. What the fuck is an Almo?
What's an Almo, Tom? Google it.
Almos.
Google it, quick. It's a character from like the Sesame Streets.
Elmo. Arm's length management. No, is that it? What is an Elmo? The future of Elmo.
Jet.
Arm's length management organisations.
What is that?
An arm's length management organisation.
Is it something about arms trading again? Fucking
But giving arms at arm's length. Like, you can have this nuclear weapon, but we don't want to do a hand-to-hand exchange. We need to do it at arm's length. We don't want it being back to us.
It's a new Labour policy, which is arm Luke Akehurst to protect him against people with Asbos.
An arm's length management organisation is a not-for-profit company that provides housing services on behalf of a local authority.
Oh my god, that's so fucking Blairite, man. Some Quango shit. And he concludes, new security doors on estates in my ward.
Not in my ward!
So, it ranges from the sweeping imperialism.
And then he just ends it by going, that should give you all plenty to get your teeth into.
Yeah.
Oh, it certainly is, Luke.
Warrior Tifo did an epic fucking thread.
Thank you for his hard work, compiling this absolute gold.
He really hates Anne Black. He's big against Anne Black. He's complaining... Oh, here we go. This is good. From 2006, 17th of July. He says, spoof website is the title of the post. As someone on the receiving end of a spoof/parody website, I was concerned to see that even MPs are not immune from this phenomenon. Over the weekend, some practical joker has set up a website pretending to be Hayes and Harlington MP John McDonnell, www.johnforleader.org.uk. It is clearly not really his site, as it says he is running for leader of the Labour Party, which would be funny if it wasn't too ridiculous to be even vaguely plausible. I am one of the 82% of the public who think he should run against Brown, as I suspect is Mr. Brown himself. What more could any aspiring Labour leader want than a comedy left-wing opponent who will struggle to even get a required 44 MPs to nominate him, split the left as half of them want to back Meacher, that's Michael Meacher, the late MP, and remind the electorate how much Labour Party has changed since 1983.
Yeah, that post didn't age well, did it?
When Ted Grant, the former leader of Militant, died, Luke wrote, Ted Grant joins Trotsky. Goodbye and good riddance to former leader of Militant, Ted Grant.
Oh my god, if someone from the left of the party was coming out with that, he'd be calling that abuse, for fuck's sake.
Oh my god, God.
There's one here. Today Hackney, tomorrow South America. What? What?
This is where Luke endorses Hugo Chavez. He says, Dr. Dominguez basically gave us a brain dump of the political history of Latin America, from the Pinochet coup, which saw him flee his native Chile, through the neoliberalism of the 80s. And neoliberalism, Luke? I thought that was a made-up insult. I'm going to report Luke Akehurst to compliance unit.
Just like imperialist. It's a ridiculous
Exactly,
word.
just like no academic literature behind either of those terms.
I just love how he considered the word imperialist as an insult for bullying.
Yeah.
You call someone imperialist, that's bullying in his words, but you can laugh about the death of a Trotskyist.
Yeah. What? To continue, Luke says, through the neoliberalism... to the... content note, neoliberalism, of the 80s and 90s to the current resurgence of the left. Inevitably, the focus was on Hugo Chavez and the role Venezuela is playing in the region. Any CLP that is looking for a really interesting or indeed inspiring speaker on a region that back in the heyday of the Nicaragua and Chile solidarity campaigns Labour was a lot more engaged with, really ought to invite Dr. Dominguez to speak. Luke continues, whilst the social achievements of Chavez, which he outlined, are fantastic... supporter of the Venezuelan regime, are we, Luke? Here we go, a little quiz. Now, this is the Luke Akehurst ideological correctness test. Tom, would you like me to test you?
Let's do it.
How correct you are. Okay, section 1. Ideological/political orientation. Question 1. Are you a supporter of A. Replacement of Trident?
No, I don't want to replace Trident.
B, nuclear power.
Not really, no.
C, the state of Israel.
I'm not really a supporter of its current actions against Palestine. No, I'm not really a big fan of the state of Israel.
So you'd have got 10 points each for yes there, but unfortunately you've got 0 points. Question 2. Are you, or have you ever been a member of the Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament, Compass, Campaign for Labour Party Democracy, the Campaign Group of MPs, Liberty/NCLL, I don't know what that is, PSC/LMEC, the Liberal Party?
Okay.
The Liberal Party. I think Luke probably refuses to accept that they're the Lib Dems. I think Corbyn does that as well. He always says the Liberals, or it might be McDonnell, but it never say the Lib Dems. It's always just the Liberals, and that's fair enough. They're not. They're not
bullshit group now. Just
yeah, they're not serious social democrats, so they don't deserve to have the Democrat bit of their name. I don't often say this, but David Owen was fucking right about not joining them because he is a social democrat. Anyway, are you or have you ever been a member of CND, Compass, CLPD, the Campaign Group, Liberty, NCLL, PSC/LMEC, or the Liberal Party? -5 points for each yes.
So, what did I score?
Well, I don't know if you've ever been... You didn't answer.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Have I ever been... Repeat the question, sorry.
Oh, God, okay. Are you, or have you ever been a member... This is like I've put you up against Senator McCarthy, isn't it?
God, I feel like I'm at a hearing for fucking...
Yeah, you're up against HUAC.
This is the future. If Luke Akehurst and his ragtag bunch of Blairites get control of the Labour Party, he'd be pulling us all in front of communist courts, just like...
It's like, imagine having John Wayne as Big Jim McLean's fucking boot in your ass, like, for the rest of time. So are you, or have you ever been a member of CND, Compass, CLPD, the Campaign Group, Liberty, NCLL, PSC/LMEC, or the Liberal Party?
No, I haven't, no.
Really? Not... Actually, I don't think I'm a member of any of them either. Never mind. But still, you would have got -5 points for each of those. But as it is, you just have no points. So you've kind of passed that round.
Brilliant.
Question 3. Did you vote for Ben or Healy in the 1981 deputy leadership election? Now, Tom...
I wasn't alive at the time.
Bullshit.
But I would have,
Bullshit,
I
mate.
would have, of course, voted for Dennis Healy. And no, of course I would have voted for the big boy Ben.
So you're now on -20 points. You would have got 10 points for Healy and 5 points for abstaining.
Point system for it, so
-20
he
points
hates
for
Ben
Ben.
so
yes.
much. He's like, -20, fucking vote Ben, fuck, destroy the
Okay,
Labour.
here we go. If you had been a Labour MP in the 1963 leadership election, bear in mind this was before the Electoral College, so at that point it was just MPs who decided who became a Labour leader. Would you have voted for George Brown, Harold Wilson, or Jim Callaghan?
Oh, well,
I'll tell you the points first. 10 points for Brown, 8 points for Callaghan, -5 for Wilson.
Well, I'm guessing Wilson was probably the least melty of that lot, so I probably would have gone for Wilson, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Brown was probably the really right-wing option, and then...
he is. Jack Taylor loves Brown.
Was Brown basically the successor to Gaitskill?
I think so. Brown was a melt. Next. So you are now on -25 points.
Oh my God.
Did you think the good... This is a great question. Did you think the good guys in the Vietnam War were A, the communist Viet Cong led by Stalinist dictator Ho Chi Minh, or B, the US Marine Corps led by left-wing Democrats JFK and LBJ?
I think the good guys...
20 points.
Sorry,
20 points for anyone unlikely enough to be saying B.
I'm going to throw my lot in with Ho Chi Minh and the communists.
Fair, yeah. The only correct answer. But would you... This is an Akehurst question. This is my question. Would you have, like Tariq Ali volunteered to do, fought with the Viet Cong?
Would I have fought with the Viet Cong? Well, is that hypothetical? If I was born in Vietnam, would I have fought with the...
No. If you were a British leftist at that point, would you have volunteered to go to Vietnam to fight with the Viet Cong? Bear in mind, the Viet Cong didn't want British people to fight with them, so they would have said, no, go home.
So is this basically his way of going, so you wouldn't have even gone and fought for the cause,
No, this is my question about whether you have...
Oh, okay.
This is my question about whether you would have fought with the Viet Cong, because I've just remembered Tariq Ali saying in a podcast I listened to that he was perfectly willing to go and fight with the Viet Cong, but they thought that Western leftists would just basically drag them down and get in the way of their military operation.
You know what? Fair play to them.
Yeah.
I think they probably would have lost if they would have invited kind of Western leftists over. To be honest, they would have just caused too much shit for them. Fair play to the Vietnamese communists. I mean, they won in the end. So I think it probably was a good decision not to invite any Western leftists.
They
over.
did. So by siding with Ho
Based
Chi
on
Minh,
how prone we are to arguing amongst ourselves, I think they probably made a good call. To be honest.
yeah, I think so too. So
no, I wouldn't have gone and fought for them, but I would have offered my support.
But that sounds like, now that you know that they would have turned you down, now you feel safe to say that you could have volunteered to fight for them. Mel. Okay, let's move on. So you don't get any points for that question. Luke, in his infinite mercy, has not deducted any points from you for that, so you're still on minus 25
in his infinite
points.
Mercy.
Yeah,
I avoid Luke Newcomb's swift shotgun blast to the head.
Yeah.
For my crimes against the Labour Party.
Some deer hunter shit. You're just sitting around the table with Luke playing Russian roulette. Luke just fucking pulls the gun on you and it's pow, 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 pow.
And I just look at you, Jack, and I go, Jack, I gotta do it. And you're like, no. And I just pull the trigger and blow my brains out all over the table.
Okay,
I'm the Christopher Walken in this hypothetical deer hunter scenario.
Yeah, well, you are an acting superstar now. Anyway, question 6. In which year did you first publicly call for the expulsion of militant? Now, you get 2 points for every year prior to 1985.
You know what? I don't think I would have called them to be expelled.
But you don't think so? You think you would have backed Tony Benn up there?
I would have been with the boy Ben to the bitter end.
Like Ben protege Max Shanley, that Ben actually made an error of judgment and should have supported Kinnock's efforts to clear the trots out.
No, I don't think it was. I would have been. Sorry. I am of the view that militant, when they were in power in the councils in the 80s, they were much more effective than they ended up becoming.
They were good, but I think that they were far less socially progressive than the sort of London left, and they didn't embrace the black sections within the Labour Party. They didn't embrace what you might...
Oh yeah, there was definitely
identity
that
politics
on their record, definitely.
They were entirely class first, and so I think in a way they haven't, in many ways, been as influential as the GLC, for example, and London MPs like Jeremy Corbyn.
So would you could you possibly take the line, you're with Ben, but you want the militants expelled?
No. I agree with you on this. Actually, I think that the attack on militant was a proxy attack on the Bennite left.
Yeah, it was used. Yeah, definitely.
So you don't get any points for that again.
I'm not doing
Question
very well
7.
here, am I?
No, you're not. I'm still on minus 25. Question 7. So Tom, still on minus 25 points. Who made the greater contribution? Yeah, I am as well, but it's fucking hot. Who made the greater contribution to the history of the Labour Party? Nye Bevan or Ernie Bevan?
Oh, it's got to be Nye Bevan, hasn't it?
Of course it has, yeah. It's reprehensible to think otherwise. As I said, not only was, sorry to use a slur here, but not only was Ernie Bevan, a bloodthirsty imperialist responsible for much of the most repugnant stuff that the Attlee government did around the world, he was also a virulent anti-Semite, which is not supposed to be something that Luke is in favour of, so I'm disappointed by that. Whereas Nye Bevan, as far as I know, was opposed to fascism, anti-Semitism in all its forms. I am willing to be corrected if that's not true. So, you're going with Nye. You think the NHS was a greater achievement than NATO?
I am, yes.
No points.
God, this is brutal.
Question
He's taking
8.
no prisoners here, is he?
No, he really isn't.
Going for the nuclear option.
No. It's very much kind of a war on terror type. Just kill them. just do a drone strike on their fucking house. Yeah, no prisoners. Question 8. Did you support British involvement in the following conflicts? Falklands, 1 point.
No.
Gulf War.
No.
No, not the Falklands. The Gulf War, 4 points.
None of them. Neither.
Sierra Leone, 1 point.
Well,
intervention in Sierra Leone.
I would need to know. I'm guessing probably not. No.
Okay. Just an instinctive, probably bad. Okay.
I don't know the specific details of the entry into the Sierra Leone conflict. I'm presuming
you know
probably...
what? Because you're sitting on the fence there, that can mean you potentially abstained in Parliament and helped Blair get a pro-intervention majority. So what I'll do is
give me a point.
I will give you half a point.
Oh,
so you are now on minus 24.5.
I'm getting there.
Do you support the intervention in Kosovo? 3 points.
No, can't say I would have done.
Okay, Afghanistan, 3 points.
Nope, can't say I would have done.
Now here is the kicker for 10 points. Do you support the 2003 invasion of Iraq?
I can't say I would have done, no. I'm sorry.
Sad. Very sad and tragic.
A war for freedom in the eyes of Luke Akehurst.
Oh, well, the rest of it is just like, have you been on the hashtag Labour doorstep? So I won't trouble you with there. So, Tom, you bow out of the Luke Akehurst ideological purity test with minus 24.5 points. Very sad and tragic. You are declared to be a comrade! Hey!
Nice.
Not a cop!
The shot return of Koppel Comrade.
Hey! Yeah, someone was asking if Koppel Comrade would be back. Well, there you go.
We'll have a more extended version of Koppel Comrade soon. I think there's a few Labour MPs we need to go through on an episode of Koppel Comrade.
Yeah,
so,
well, let's before we get to the question and answer segment,
yes.
I know you want to wrap up soon.
Yeah.
Just have a quick lightning storm through the remaining Wario Tifo screenshots of Akehurst blog. So here is a good one. P.S. To Mr. Handy, the newsagent, I am now boycotting your shop, as its front window is full of Stop the War Coalition posters. This adds to my 8-year boycott of Yum Yum's Thai restaurant after they advertised in Liberal Democrat Focus in March 1998. Fair enough. I mean, I've got to say, I do love how much Luke fucking hates the Liberals.
He loves to make the definition.
He was, however, very critical of Margaret Hodge for stealing the BNP's policy on council housing.
Have you seen the wrong letter at the wrong time?
What's that one about? Oh, the one about
Sadiq Khan and Shahid Malik. I'm disappointed that thoughtful, generally sensible MPs like Sadiq Khan and Shahid Malik have put their names to a letter telling the government to change its foreign policy in the face of the terrorist threat. So.
Oh yeah, and he says, the letter reinforces the terrorist worldview that Muslims are victim of a great, organised global injustice, rather than combating that view. So, I mean, there's some pretty rank denial of Islamophobia there.
Yep. Luke, everybody, Luke Akehurst.
In the case of Iraq, for large periods of Saddam's rule, it was a secular tyranny, and the occupation has actually seen a great upsurge in religious freedom of expression. It's true. Now you can just walk around Iraq being like, I'm in ISIS and I fucking love it.
Do you mind if I read out the one called I Hate Channel 4?
I do not mind at all. Go ahead.
It's called I Hate Channel 4. No, not for the same reasons I hate The Independent, but because of their treatment of Morrissey, the world's greatest living singer-songwriter. Brackets, I can even forgive his vegetarianism and silly views on US foreign policy, so he must be good. Close brackets.
Is there a date on this bit? Because hadn't Morrissey had a bit of a comeback in like 2004? With like, what was it?
This was
We Are the Quarry.
This was posted at approximately 10:21 a.m. in the morning. It does not have a date stamp in terms of the month or the year.
Okay, a lot of these are from sort of 2006 to 8. So it could have been... I mean, Morrissey, I'm pretty certain, hadn't gone fash by the time that Luke wrote this.
We sat through the whole of their live coverage on E4 of V Festival, enduring hour after hour of droning dirges from Keane, Star Sailor, some other bands that all sounded the same. And then when it gets to Morrissey, who was headlining the main stage on Saturday at Weston Park and Sunday at Chelmsford, they cut away on both nights to Radiohead and, even worse, Razorlight. Then last night, having seen the great man interviewed halfway through the highlights on Channel 4 and heard the presenter say we would see a lot of his set, we get, at Gone 1am, precisely 2 songs. Words cannot express my contempt for these Philistines. Pearls before swine.
I reckon it is just you go to the pub with Akehurst, and after a bit he's just like, I fucking hate Channel 4. I fucking hate Trots.
I hate most of Britpop.
Yeah.
Star Sailor was shit.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm glad Ben is dead. My favourite, possibly my favourite, I think the ideological purity test is pretty good, but I love this blog post from Luke called Collecting Insults. Now, this again seems to fly in the face of his contention on the Luke for NEC site that the culture of abuse and bullying started in the Labour Party in 2015, because it seems quite a lot of people had disparaging remarks about Luke before then, shall we say. So, he says, one of my hobbies is collecting insults. This seems to be remarkably easy if you happen to mention you support the Labour Party, or Tony Blair, or Israel, or campaign for any of those things. You can even collect insults for saying nice things about Gordon Brown nowadays. Or by being a ginger. Anyway, here are some of the choicest ones delivered to/about me, which seem to indicate I must be doing something right. Akehurst, you're advancing the politics of Stalin with the tactics of Hitler. Or maybe it was the other way around. I think it's probably the other way around, Luke. GC delegate, Bristol West, early 90s. The current Labour candidate has no chance. A short red-haired import from Bethnal Green who struts around like a bantam rooster on Viagra. He has managed, already, to alienate most of his party with his Blairite sycophancy. The PLP parachuted the red-haired muppet in. Tory councillor, Castle Point on vote2005.co.uk. I love that Luke is the leader of the non-Blairite right-wing faction within the Labour Party, and his Blairite sycophancy has been noted.
Oh, God.
Here's a good one. You are the shittest man in Labour local government. Labour Party National Officer, 2000. I gotta say, that's fucking impressive. Right, think of how shit Labour local government are now. Think of how fucking shit they must have been in the Blair years.
Oh my God. Oh, God.
The most dangerous man in student politics. UWSU sabbatical, 1995. Labour rent boy. The Independent, 2001.
What? So the Independent
was that in a
newspaper
news
just roundly insulted him as a Labour rent boy? What?
Maybe John Rentoul was just like, fucking hell, this guy's even too much of a Blairite sycophant for me.
He came out of his vampire coffin to deal the dirt, deal the insults.
Flew out of his crypt, like Blairite rent boy. Labour. A particularly nasty little LCC hack. Labour Left Briefing, 1999.
God, and I love how he likes to pretend all the bullying started after 2015, and he's just giving off all these examples of internal party strife and his other mates in the media just dealing blows left, right and centre.
Actually, everyone got on in the Labour Party before Corbyn, you know, it was all a happy family.
Yeah. We definitely weren't ejecting elderly Jewish members for quite rightly calling out Jack Straw and his bullshit. We definitely weren't doing that back then.
Oh, of course not. Of course, in fact, Walter Wolfgang is a real kind of, could say, a sort of shadowy string puller lurking behind the scenes, causing ill, orchestrating bad left-wing things in a lot of these Akehurst posts.
Shocking.
The next quote, we thought we hated councillors until this little shite came along. From www.clissoldierleisure.com. Disold leisure, I don't know, Tom Disso's site. Disso Leisure. A jumped up little spotty red-headed upper class shite. That's from Luke's online stalker. A right-wing, manipulative, lying, cheating, ginger shite. The same person on a different site.
Who are these people? Is this his like Blairite nemesis? Is settling differences?
I don't know. There's one which says, "Look to Scotland. As traditional in depressing times for Labour UK-wide, those of us needing cheering up can look to Scotland for consolation. Ever it was thus."
Oh my god. Have you seen his blog post about where he was during major events? My favourite one, he tells about where he was when Princess Diana died, when Margaret
he was in the car chasing them. Luke Akehurst killed Lady Di. My new theory
perfectly points out that these are like his alibis and stuff.
yeah. Exactly.
So he says where he was during Princess Diana's death, where he was during the attack on the Twin Towers, where he was.
Luke did 9/11. Luke Akehurst did 9/11. Why did all the Lukes get the day off on September the 11th? Answer me that, okay?
Where he was during England's World Cup semi-final against Germany, and during President Kennedy's assassination. Quite rightfully, he points out that it was 9 years before he was born, so he was definitely not the man on the grassy knoll. But during Margaret Thatcher's resignation on the 22nd of November 1990, he says that he was sat in his room at Wills Hall, Bristol University, listening to the radio and putting off writing an essay. Unfortunately, the rest of the hall of residence was full of Tories who didn't wish to celebrate this event with me.
I love his post, known knowns, known unknowns, unknown unknowns, etc., which is a spirited defence of Donald Rumsfeld on his resignation.
We'll close the Akehurst diaries with that one.
Okay,
I'm sure
right,
there'll be plenty of time on another episode to pick up on another exciting edition of the Akehurst diaries on Real Politik.
Absolutely. This is some incredible Real Politik reading series material. I wanted to read the one where he advocates deselecting Diane Abbott and said he just voted in favour of a trigger ballot to get rid of her. But yeah, we can get to that another time. Luke's post in defence of Donald Rumsfeld starts, "This is probably a surefire way to make myself political toast with Labour colleagues, but I actually feel rather sorry for Donald Rumsfeld and find the gloating at his resignation distasteful. Why? Well, for a start off, his strategy in Iraq was our Labour government's too. So if he's such a bad/wrong person, so are we." Exactly, Luke. Exactly.
Just when you think he might be starting to get it.
Yeah.
And he's like, nah.
So close to getting it. Or at least every one of us that supported the government line. Yeah, key distinction there, Luke. Number 2, if you are going to have Republicans in power, and I'd rather we were now 6 years into an Al Gore presidency, you know, Al Gore lives on my street, breathes one in some, won the popular vote.
I don't know how he lives with knowing that even though he won the popular vote, he still...
I would rather they were idealistic ones that believed in spreading democracy to the Middle East than Kissinger/Nixon style cynics practicing real politique and focused just on the national self-interest rather than some higher ideological ends. I agree, Luke. The higher ideological ends of the Bush administration are wonderful things. He's the fall guy for his boss in the White House, who in a European political system would be the one resigning after these elections. He actually did the traditional job of defense secretary very well, overseeing 2 stunning military victories in Afghanistan and Iraq in a matter of weeks. What he is being blamed for is the subsequent failure to rebuild Iraq and of the US armed forces to peacekeep, neither of which traditionally were or should be core US military functions. That's amazing, isn't it? Like, we should just invade countries but not clean up our bullshit. My hunch is history will say Rumsfeld made all of us a lot safer by destroying the Taliban/Al-Qaeda base in Afghanistan and removing Saddam from power, so he wasn't around to refresh his WMD arsenal. Of course, by this point we found out there were no WMD, and marry it with North Korean nuke missile technology. There are a lot of Afghans and Iraqis, particularly Kurds and Shiites, who have a lot to thank him for.
Well, there we go.
So that is Luke the Nuke. That is some of his wonderful opinions.
Not as much Russia blaming as I would have expected, but I'm sure...
Not a great deal of Russia at all, but remember...
Post-2015, isn't it, when that kind of pipes up?
I'd say around 2014 with the intervention in Ukraine.
Yes.
At that point, Putin had become one of the bad dictators for opposing the Iraq War, but I still think Luke was busy freaking out about Muslims at that point.